attention tonight. So thank you for worshiping with us with what we have. Thank you, Mary, for playing. We'll get Mary back in the second set of songs and so on. Tonight, the message of the title of the message is somewhat very easy: eldership proper. Because most of you, except Evan, in the back, since this is his first visit, were here last week to what we do concerning the local church. So, for everybody tonight, I truly need your attention. Terry, would you give them both of them a half-pager? That would be nice. What have we done last week? We looked into facts of organization. Okay, we looked into it. We looked at the biblical form of government. I gave you a piece of paper for 3 terms concerning the same office of elders. And we looked at the 3 terms, and we looked at the numbers of elders that are needed to make a local church function. And we also looked at 2 types: a ruling elder and also the teaching elders and so on. I conclude the message by kindly asking you to seek God. Nancy's prayer was exactly of that type. Ask your question to him or to a person that is knowledgeable in the Bible to give you proper answers in the context. And pray about everything. Okay? Pray for us in the future as we carry on together, that we may slowly, not speedily or swiftly, endorse the proper government and so on. And I ask you to read the New Testament also, your leisure time, your devotional. Please read your Bible. I gave you homework, which you are acquainted with tonight, the 1 Timothy passage, chapter 3, verses 1 to 7. And I will also make a short exposition on Titus, chapter 1, 6 to 9, a bit later on. Now I would like you to work with this, the half-pager that Terry gave you. There is not much space on it to make your notes. Anyway, it's going to be fine. So, when a pastor or a Bible expositor or an elder is asking you to turn into 1 Timothy, he is automatically asking you to turn in what we call the pastoral letters or pastoral epistles. There are 3 of them: 1 Timothy, 2 Timothy, and Titus. The T's together, 1 Tim, 2 Tim, and Titus, are what we call pastoral epistle. Paul wrote to these guys, Timothy and Titus, what to do in churches and what not to do, how to conduct in the household of faith, and so on. And now we come to the passage on elders here, 1 Timothy chapter 3, verses 1 to 7. Want to be very honest right out front. As far as eldership is concerned, it's for male alone. Okay? A lady, a woman cannot be an elder. It's going to be different when we will be speaking about deaconship. So, an elder talks about an older person mature in the faith and so on. And that's a position that will work only in the masculine form. With no offense, we need to receive what the text is saying and so on. So you come with me in verse 1. Now we do the exposition. And you follow with your half-pager. It's going to be kind of quick, that part. It is a trustworthy statement. If any man aspires to the office of overseers, this is elders right there, one of the Greek word, it is a fine work he desires to do. There is so much of confusion today because most of you, if not all of you, come from the background that you have a paid pastor is the pastor and he has a board or a board of deacons or a board proper, and basically it leads to confusion with one pastor overall, the whole thing. So the office is avoided sometimes because you feel, oh, this person is the pastor of the church, so I have nothing to do in the leadership and so on. So that's why, to an extent, it keeps the people from growing in their faith and exercising the gift that they have. It should not be so. It should be elder-led. Okay? And it caused the office to be avoided, or sometimes, depending on what they allow, the office of elder can be sought with wrong motivations. If you have nothing to do on Tuesday night, and they have their meeting on Tuesday night, so there is nothing worth to watch. Oh, I will apply to be an elder this year, so at least I'm going to have something to do on Tuesday night. Don't go there. Okay? It's a very important office. Verse 2, still, an overseer then must be above reproach. I stop right there. Blameless, in a sense, so that no accusation can be brought against him when he is put into office, if you want to. Later, a false accusation may come in, but this is above reproach person. In verse 2, the husband of one wife. Circle the husband on one wife. I will come back to it later. I will not avoid it. It's just because it's more lengthy to explain right now. Number 4, he must be the husband of one wife, temperate. What is basically temperate? Not given to excesses, okay? And have sound judgment. Not given to too far left and right excesses in life. How do I say it properly in plural? Excesses, and to exercise sound judgment. Verse 2, still, prudent. In the Greek, it means self-control. Not really impulsive. I'm not saying that he cannot make an impulsive decision occasionally because we're flesh and so on, but he needs to have that kind of temperament here. Respectable, okay, or what was the last one? Prudent, self-control, okay, and respectable. Good behavior with a well-ordered life. Cannot be really perfect, but a good behavior, that's the word Greek for respectable. Basically, that's what it means. I don't give you the Greek word tonight. And have a well-ordered life. Verse 2, still, hospitable. Here it's not the gift of hospitality. Hospitality, by the way, it's not a gift. It's a command. Be hospitable. You will never see a gift in the scriptures being a command. So we are asked to be hospitable. So an elder should have some love for strangers. Not avoid the new face that comes through the door. And avoid cliquiness. Not only love his own type of thing. So when a person is seeking the truth, coming to the church is the person that will say, come, welcome. Here's this, and that. That's hospitable in this way. Verse 2, able to teach in verse 2. Okay? Able to teach at least one-on-one. Okay? Remember the two types of elders. There are two types of elders, those ruling. A childlike example that I gave last week. We need to change the chair, François. There is money in the bank account. Don't be greedy. We're not building a bank account here. We need to replace it. Let's buy a nice quality. That's ruleship. And this is very difficult for me to teach that in a sense because able to teach, everybody's nervous, is going to ask me to preach and I cannot do it. It's very difficult when people are not given the opportunity to exercise their gifts. But an elder should be able to teach one-on-one, and all of you can do it, even women. You can teach one-on-one. If a person comes to you through the door, knock at the windows of your car and say, was Jesus really God, and do I need Jesus in my life? You will teach the person, and you will teach the person properly. Because you have the Spirit, you are a believer, and you can teach one-on-one. But with the type of churches that we have today, basically most of the time fed on milk, it's very difficult for the people to preach today, to build a message of 45, 40, 35 minutes and so on. But feasible when you have the gift of teaching. Verse 3, not addicted to wine, circle that. It does not mean abstention. You can partake of wine, but it means moderation and not characterized by drunkenness. It does not mean total abstention. You cannot demand that an elder totally abstain because he won't, and it creates a guilt and so on. They can partake in wine with moderation. Number 10 on your outlines. Are we the same page? Yes, 10. Not given to physical violence. In my translation, it has the word here in verse 3 that we say pugnacious. Okay? It's given to physical violence. If the person has a tendency to mistreat the wife, to abuse the children, he does not qualify for eldership. That's the meaning of the word. Not be given to physical violence except for legitimate defense, and so on and so forth. In verse 3, you have gentle. It means patient. Okay? We cope together. We exercise patience. You have shown this to me in difficult messages. You have offered me a lot of grace. That's what it means, to be patient. Point number 12 in verse 3 also. Gentle, we dealt with this. Peaceable, okay? It means not quarrelsome. Peacemaker. That's basically not contentious or not quarrelsome. It does not exclude a person that has another occasional fight with his wife where the tone is a bit high and so on, but not continually, because we like I said, we retain this in nature, and that's what we seek here in leaders. Number 13, it's in verse 3 as well. Free from the love of money, meaning not a greedy person. That needs to be there. Free from the love of money. Number 14, highlight this one, not the household in order in verse 4. Okay, he must be one who manages household well. Circle this. I will allude to this later in the sermon where we need to go a little bit deeper with this one. Number 15, not a new convert. Not a person that has been in the faith for a year, a few months, or even 3-4 years, because the person needs to have a level of maturity. We deal with crisis sometimes, so you don't put a new convert here in verse 6. In verse 4, I need to read verse 5 also. Where was I? He must be manages also well. Okay, it's in verse 5 and 6, the new convert. 6. And not a new convert, so that he will not become conceited and fall into the condemnation incurred by the devil. Okay? The first sin ever that entered into the realm of God was from Satan. He fell before humanity. And what was the first sin of Satan? Pride. I will make myself like the Most High. So that's why the office should be avoided by a new convert, basically, because they might say, oh, I'm an elder in my church, and go overboard unless you have a healthy plurality and people keep accountable to each other and so on. Number 16, it says in verse 7, and he must have a good reputation with those outside the church, so that he will not fall into the reproach and the snare of the devil. But I want a good reputation outside the church. The people at work might not respect his beliefs. It doesn't matter, because you cannot ask the world system to respect your belief if you open your sandwich and you close your eyes quickly and you make a quick grace, or they get into your pickup truck and they find a Bible under the seat or whatnot, or on the dashboard, but respected in conduct. Respected for the quality of the work that the person will do. So we need, an elder has to be a good relationship with the outsider. They will mock you, they will poke fun and so on, but it's an issue of having a good reputation. Does it make sense so far? It's a little bit of teaching, but we need that for our local church to lay down our foundation together. Take time, find your passage in Titus. Go to 2 Timothy. And right after 2 Timothy, this is your passage in Titus. I'm sending you to Titus chapter 1, and place your fingers on verses 6 to 9. Okay, you will find some, this is eldership qualifications, that the word that I was trying to find right now in my mind, qualifications. You will find some that are the same. I will skip them and keep 2 for dessert, the marriage situation and having children that's supposed to be saved. We will look at that quite in depth. When I send you, beloved, to Titus, once again, I'm sending you to a pastoral letter, and we will, some are the same, but I'll go through and we will see how it goes from there. Verse 6 and 7. Namely, in verse 1. If any man is above reproach, we dealt with this, the husband of one wife, we will be dealing with this, having children who believe. Come back to this later. No accusation or dissipation of rebellion. We go to verse 7, that's what I want. For the overseer must be above reproach as God's steward, not self-will. That's what I would like you to circle. Not self-willed. What does it mean? Arrogant. Okay? Not arrogant. And sometimes I can come across a little bit like this, or dogmatic and so on, but arrogance is something that needs to be corrected in that kind of office. Verse 7, not easily, or my Bible says, not quick-tempered here. Basically, not easily angered. A person who has an even temper. Doesn't say here, never gets angry ever. But a person that is even in thinking, relax, Terry helps me sometimes, take it easy, and so on. So it's not easily angered, an even temper person. Number 8 here. Not addicted to wine, not pugnacious, not fond of sword in gain here. I want to carry on in verse 8. But hospitable, we dealt with this. Loving what is good. Okay? Loving what is good, it's basically loving Philippians chapter 4, verse 8, which I will read for you. So what do I need to love, François? Philippians chapter 4, verse 8. Finally, brethren, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is of good repute, number 6. And if there is any excellence, and if anything worthy of praise, dwell on these things. So you seek the Bible, the Old Testament. You go to stories of Abraham where he says to Lot, go first, make your choice first. Take the piece of land that you would like, and I will go into the opposite direction. It was the right of Abraham to pick first whatever is lovely. Lot, lift up your eyes and choose. And then God said to Abraham, lift up thine eyes, I will give you all this. He surrendered his right and he gained even more. That's the type of loveliness that an elder should have behind his belt. Always seeking the best for the object love, which is you. Not my schedule, my agenda, or whatsoever. Verse 8 also, sensible. Sensible here is able to reason things out, okay? Devout to God. Practical holiness. Let's think about it. We need to confront the brother. Before we confront, let's pray about it. How are you planning to proceed, François? I would proceed this way. Has to be that kind of quality. That's sensible, again, with the Greek flavor of the word. Number 9, holding fast to the faithful word. Faithful word. A person that is reliable in the word. We're not asking, the Bible does not ask to know everything, the social insurance number of Moses' father-in-law. There is people that knows that, but reliable in the word. Very difficult to find that type of person. Meaning not wishy-washy. If you believe this, Brother Brendan, it's okay. No, not wishy-washiness. And it's very difficult to find that kind of people nowadays. So that's why we need prayer. Verse 9 also. Holding sound doctrines here, which is in accordance with the teaching, so that he will be able both to exhort here and to exhort in sound doctrine. He needs to hold sound doctrines, aware of the false teaching. I'm planning in the future, maybe once a month, to have a different speaker, or maybe once every 2 months. We need to be there if we have elders in the future. What was said was a good message. Was a good message overall type of thing. But if something is said that doesn't make sense, like there is no millennial kingdom, amillennialism and so on, we cannot endure that kind of stuff. We don't deal with that in front of the people, but we need to stay with sound doctrines, and also, as we do, and I praise you right now, to strive to apply them. This is the most difficult for me to see and for you to do. But I explained to you jokingly the other day about raising your leg like this straight, like a gymnastic person. God will never ask you to do so. But what makes a church thriving, it's to have people in the pews, if I can call it the pews right now, that listen and said, yeah, it makes sense. look at the husband, let's apply this. Whatever the case could be. Application. This is difficult for me too. When I look at all the credentials, and sometimes I want to hide in my car. But we're not there to hide in the cars. Because who will do it? If you seek for a perfect person to be an elder, only Christ will be. And he's at the right side of God the Father, and he's not coming back unless he comes back for the second coming. He wants us, you and I, to be involved in this. This is of crucial importance. I should have been a little bit more stern about the importance of such a message. And it's difficult to preach. It's bumpy for me. I prefer a little bit of more stories and more exposition, but it's one of them. Where was I? Exhorting in sound doctrines to apply. When you exhort, let me exhort you, sister. It's an exhortation. It doesn't have to be in front of the people. Let's together. It's an exhortation. And to refute false doctrines, also in verse 9, able to stand for the truth with the word. A person that is stand. Okay, I don't know all the passages. Give me a few hours. You contact the person that you would like to contact, but I'm going to make my point with you. It's very important. Paul was like this. When he condemned Peter, when he wrote Galatians type of thing, he was very severe against the Judaizer. The Jews that wanted to circumcise the Gentiles, to apply the law and so on. He was very stern in his teaching, being the chief person of the dispensation of grace. Now, I mentioned to you two laters issue. I'll speak about it later. Go back to your first Timothy passage for a moment. And don't lose your Titus as well. Okay? Go back to your 1 Timothy chapter 3, verse 2. We're doing good in time. It says this. I'm in Thessalonians. An overseer then must be above reproach, the husband of one wife. Circle that carefully. Go to Titus 1:6. The husband of one wife also. Now, in the Greek text, it reads a one-woman man. A one-woman man or a one-wife ever. Okay? A one-woman man or a one-wife ever. That's how the Greek is reading. There is two legitimate ways to take the passage. Make your notes. It's crucial here because the statement that I will do, if you're planning to stay with us, we need to make a choice. I need to make a choice where I stand, and I will tell you where I stand. There is two legitimate ways to take it. Based upon 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 17. Don't go, I will read that to you. It reads like this. 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 17. Listen closely. Therefore, from now on, no, it's not what I want, 5:17. Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creature. The old things passed away. Behold, new things have come. When you come to Christ, specifically a person like me, because I came to Christ at the age of 33 and I was married before. When I was 24 or 23, I got married and I did all kinds of weird stuff, which I don't want to boast in this. Lots of people can relate to that. When I gave my life to the Messiah 20-some years ago, when I was 33, I'm 60 right now, it's been a long time. It's a new creation. So all the past of the person is erased here. Okay? Now, if you take one wife ever the first way, it means this. No single man can be elder. That's what it means the first way you can take it. No divorcee or remarried man can be an elder. And no widowed or widower and remarried can be an elder. Because it says one wife ever, this is the strictest way to take the passage, and it is allowed to take it this way. So that's why you have lots of difference in different churches and so on. The second way to take the passage, as the way the Greek reads here, one wife ever, or the husband of one wife, or a one-woman man here, The language of the Greek can also speak of adultery or polygamy. The passage can also speak of adultery and polygamy. And in that case, there is no exclusion of a single man and a widower, a person that has been remarried. Okay? I would be personally delighted to have an elder here that is a single person with the gift of singleness. So now you know automatically that I go with the second way. If a person was married before, in the past, before he became a conversion, and even if a person was married as a Christian and he has become a widow because he lost his wife by means of death and he got remarried, I would not disallow that person to perform as an elder. We need to tread very lightly because the Greek allows for both cases. And I have leaned quite strongly towards the number 2, adultery and polygamy. Nevertheless, to be very transparent and honest with you, I don't think that I do qualify as an elder simply because of reason that I know personally that I don't need to share for now. So you know my status already. You know that I have a child of 2 years old when I'm supposed to have grandchildren and so on. It shows these things. I leave that between me and God and you. But you have here my full transparency with you. Okay? So it's a matter of choice. We'll see how it goes. I'm not in the rush to act upon this, but now it's taught. Each local church must makes its own decision about the passage. Why? For consistency, avoiding favoritism and bad feelings. Because if I allow one person to be where that case is different, so we need, as a local church, to make our mind and to call the shot. And my choice basically is number 2. Okay? To respect the Greek language and not to allow a person that has become a widower, got remarried in the faith and so on, to exercise his function as elder and so on. Okay? I lean to number 2 simply because for one important reason, the 2 Corinthians chapter 5 verse 7. God has promised that all the sins of the past has been thrown into the lake of forgetfulness as far as the east is from the west and so on. So we cannot rewind the tape of that person and apply it to the person. Say you cannot be an elder because you were married in unbelief. Okay? This is the last thing to do to remind. Satan is rejoicing to remind these sins of the past. Because have I been violent in the past? Of course I have been. I was quite a bit of a character type of thing. Have I done things completely immoral that surpasses whatever else? Yes, I did. Before my conversion. So now you know that I have not been brought up in a Christian family. I have nothing of being brought up in a Christian family because I think you have been, Stephanie, and you say, I don't have a strong testimony like these guys. You don't need that because within you, you have the capacity to commit all kinds of sins as well. So be thankful to mom or whatever the case here for having brought you up in Christianity. I was not brought up. I was brought up in a family that was crooked, stealing things from jobs and so on and so forth. But I love my mom and dad because they have done their best and they gave me a lot of love. If I am polite, in a sense, I got it from my dad. My dad said to me, no matter your education is, François, be polite and you will make your way everywhere. And he was right. You throw a smile, you shake hands. When you shake hands, you shake hands. It's not like this. And you do it. You go for it. I owe it to my dad. The Titus passage, I finish with this 1:6, okay? Because I heard that before. Titus 1:6. Now we go to Titus for this one. I finish with this soon. Titus chapter 1 verse 6. Namely, if a man is above reproach, the husband of one wife, having children who believe, not accused of dissipation or rebellion here. I heard people in the past not taking the office of elders because they were having children, sons and daughters that were in unbelief here. The Greek does not allow for this. It doesn't mean that an elder must have born again children. It's not necessary here. The Greek is faithful and reliable. The children has to be faithful and reliable even if they stand in unbelief. And it means to be brought up the proper way and show allegiance to the family. They might disrespect the belief, but they respect the household. Mom, you've made your choice. I go my own way. I think this way, and so on. So they need to pledge allegiance to the family. Because the Greek word here, it's not born again system. It's basically to mean faithful and reliable, even if they have not tasted salvation. Okay? They might come to faith. You brought them this way. Christians are not made. Okay? Christians are not, they are made. They are not, correct. Thank you so much. I had a blank, so I did a mistake here. Christians are not born. It's not because you were born in a Christian family that you will be automatically a Christian. Christians are made. Need to be chosen in time. It becomes your own decision, and so on. I conclude. I'm done with the exposition of elders. Don't be overwhelmed by this. I wish that I would have a little bit more male people. Don't be offended at that, ladies. I love men. I like men's retreat. I like men. Not in the bad sense, you know that much. I love to have a good confrontation, a good discussion, like we did at the door the other day, Fred. If something happened, I will tell you. Plain and simple. I thought that he was offended. He said, if you offend me, I'm not easily offended, but if you do, I'm going to tell you. Love it. Like it. Sorry to disclose that. I don't think it's secret. That's a man talks to you this way. It's a coach, a mentor, person that I look up to. This is to this type of leaders that we are asked to submit to. Yeah. Did he say submit? Yes, I did. It's a word that is no longer part of the Christian faith. Submission and subjection, but these are biblical words. As a mature congregant, because that's what you are right now, congregants. I'm also a congregant, but I happen to speak a little bit more often than some. Okay? So as mature congregants, a person that looks at it from the text said, Father, it's difficult for me. I have a tendency to manage and so on. But would you mold me that I may seek that kind of leadership in the future church? You present Joe Blow, an elder, a person that is aging, and Joe Blow B, because a plurality is two, and they might be appointed, we never vote them, as elders, and you look at them and say, I like these guys. Shaking a little bit, he stumbled over his words, at least he doesn't have a French accent. I would like to submit to these guys. And you shake hands with them, they come to the church, they oversight, they seek the best for your soul. Obviously, a man might not display all the virtues or the characteristics in his natural life. Okay? Because some were converted from a rough background. And that this is my case and the case of others in the congregation as well. But that person needs to demonstrate these qualifications when he serves as an elder. Remember, on a word of encouragement, I finished the message right there. Remember, sanctification. You cannot be perfect in all of that. Only God will see your heart. And it's between you and God. But if you say, you need to be just. If you look at all of them from 1 to 10, it will be hard on you. Specifically, you just had a fight in the car with the wife because she's too late and she spent too much money at Walmart. And you say, honey, I was not expecting 500. And you do the test the morning after. It's not going to go well. It's not going to be good. It's going to be one everywhere. But be, it's a command. Be kind with yourself. These positions of deacons, deaconesses, or elder are feasible. There is great rewards that comes with it. Rewards that you will not know right away. Next week I'm going to be speaking about the duration of the office. And next week I'm going to be speaking about deacons and deaconesses. What they do, what they don't do, and so on. Tonight it was the elders. Do not let Satan disqualify you as leaders, because that's what he strives to do. And you know what? He might achieve to do it. He doesn't want you to know all these things. because you might qualify, and it's a very valuable help, a very valuable thing to seek, not to be pushed into. And I am not in the rush. We can carry on like this for a few years. But you have received a message, and I will get back to you on these things. Reflect on these things. It's beautiful to serve. Thank you, Fred.